Welcome to another episode of Cinema Crunch. My name is Rose Donahue, and we're filming at the Quantum Arc Media Studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're all familiar with the phrase lights, camera, action. Today, we'll be focusing specifically on lights. I'll be speaking with co-founder and president of JR Lighting, the one and only JR Reid. Hey!
Hey there.
Thanks for joining me today.
It's good to be here.
I'm glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
Perfect. So let's start off. Can you tell me a little bit about JR Lighting?
Sure. JR Lighting, we've been almost 30 years in business. We are the largest full-service lighting and grip company in the state of Nevada. We have the most up-to-date equipment, lots of trucks, camera dollies, all the toys that all the kids want.
Awesome. Great. So with that in mind, how did you first get into the entertainment industry?
Well, let's see. I was in high school and college. I kind of played around with theater. And when I got out of college and came back home between college and grad school, I was set to go to grad school at NYU School of the Arts. And that summer, I got a job as a union stagehand here at the MGM Grand. And I looked at it and I said, you know, I can go to college and starve, or I can stay here and have fun. So I stayed here and had fun.
All right. Very cool. So was your gig at the MGM Grand your first gig?
It was my first theater gig.
Okay.
Yes.
So what was your first gig?
Well, that was my first theater gig.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And it was my first union
gig. Yes, that's a good place to start.
I guess, I don't know, college, I don't count that really because, you know, everybody had college fun. I did television and I've done film. So which one do you want?
Let's start with television.
Television. In 1976, I did a TV show called The Gong Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the concept of the Gong Show?
Chuck Barris was the guy who invented it. He did a lot of game shows. And the idea was he'd have these really strange people do really strange things on camera, and they would rate them. And if they didn't like them, there was a big gong set up in the middle, and somebody would go over and hit the gong, and they were out.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like that is it's kind of like America's Got Talent or something like those shows today.
Way, way before all that.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
The beginnings of it. Cool. So how about film?
Film, my first film was The Car with James Brolin, shot in southern Utah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So not too far away from here.
Not too far away.
That's great.
No.
And were you always doing lighting?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, at the beginning, when you're a young kid starting out, you pretty much do whatever you're told to do. And back in those days, that's the way it was.
Okay.
You did pretty much what you were told to do, and whatever the union said, go do, you went and did.
All right. Makes sense. So what sparked your interest in lighting once you did get into that?
Well, lighting for me was pretty simple. I was in college an engineering student. I was an electrical engineer. And I did a lot of electronics growing up and stuff. So when I got into the theater and I did my first play production class, the whole idea of lighting really stuck with me because I understood the electronics of it. I could fix the dimmers. I could fix the lights. I could fix all this stuff. So I kind of gravitated toward it, and they pushed me towards it because they needed somebody who could do that stuff.
Right. You had a natural ability
Natural
with it.
fit.
Oh, that's
Natural fit.
great.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to find.
Yeah.
How has the technology changed from when you began to now?
Well, when I first started in the film industry, we had arc lights and tungsten lights. That was it. And when you shot outdoors, you had arcs, and when you shot indoors, you had tungstens. Through the years, I saw the beginning of HMIs, the beginning of fluorescent lighting, the beginning of LED lighting. And now there are so many tools in the toolbox, it's hard to figure out which one to use half the time.
Yeah. Would you say that the filmmaker's relationship to sunlight has changed?
I don't know that it has.
Yeah.
I think what's changed is a lot of the younger people don't understand some of the basic tools like they should. They've all gotten too used to the shortcuts. And instead of knowing how we started and how we began with it all, they're going immediately for how do I do it with an LED. And it's
Interesting.
not always the easiest way.
Yeah, because there's some tone to the
There's
lights that's different.
there's different things that you can do, different ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of the young filmmakers, I think, should learn the old ways first.
Right, and kind of build on the knowledge.
Yes.
Learn how to do it first before just break it. Learn the rules before you break them, as they say.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
Right. Okay. Very cool. So, with all that knowledge, how did you decide to start your own business?
Well, in about 87, late 80s, we were doing a TV show, Crime Story, here in Vegas. And I worked on it with a friend of mine. We invented the first fluorescent lighting kit
Oh, wow.
before anybody else. We had a 12-volt lighting, 18-inch lighting tube that we would put in cars. We put it in the headliner and light people for the first time differently. And after that, the gaffer of Crime Story retired after the end of it, and he called me up and asked me, hey, I've got all this stuff, buy it from me, please. And I'm like, okay. So I
Right.
bought his stuff, we made a deal, and that was the beginning of me becoming a rental house instead of just a guy kind of working.
Okay. Wow. What were some of the challenges that you faced in the beginning?
Well, I think advertising was our biggest challenge because I wanted to advertise that we could do the world. And my partner, Mary Screenis, said, no, you're going to keep it down to what we can actually do. So she throttled me back. And because of that, our company has grown to be a very strong company. And everybody knows if we say we can do, we do. And not like a lot of other people in
Sure.
our industry who always promise the world, but, don't necessarily deliver.
That's interesting. I feel like, as you said, that's a common issue across the industry. So anyone starting up in any field of the industry should keep that in mind. A lot of people want to be able to do everything and and sometimes you can swing it, but it makes sense to have expertise and specialization as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Did you ever lose interest in lighting along the way? You've been doing it for a
No,
while.
not really. Not really, no. It's always been something I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
There's nothing, my opinion, there's nothing better than having a beautiful woman and lighting her and having her look really good.
That must be a rewarding, good feeling.
is.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It is.
So really just doing the work kept you engaged
Yeah.
and passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then you've been super involved in the Las Vegas community, so I'm sure you've been able to light a lot of beautiful people along the way.
I have. I've done a lot over the course of my career, a lot of which I can't remember anymore because, the old man in me. But yeah, I've done a lot through the years.
That's awesome. What is it that keeps you so engaged with the community as well?
Well, as I get towards the end of my career, my goal has always been to leave the community better than I found it. When I first found the community, Nevadans had a small share of the jobs. Most of the jobs came from California, and we were, oh, by the ways. We have to have a couple locals, so we had a couple locals. My goal has been to change that around to where in Nevada we can create our own content, where we can have all of our own people here, where we can have all the infrastructure here. So part of what my goal through my life has been is to make our company on solid ground, which it is, get our state into the film incentive business so we can create more content here. And then ultimately at some point we have to get the final pieces of infrastructure here.
And you were very instrumental in the tax incentive program.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
That's great because it has a big impact on the whole community and is useful across the industry.
Yes, it is.
Not just for you, but for everybody.
For everyone. It's
Yeah.
good for everyone. The more jobs there are, the more opportunities there are. And my goal is that over time, I want you to be able to do whatever it is you want to do and be wherever you want to be in the industry at the end. So if you want to be a producer, I want you to be a producer and not have to be a PA because everybody came from LA.
Right.
So I want us to be able to create the content locally and for all of our people, and especially the young people, to have the opportunities to grow that I didn't have when I came into business.
Yeah. What are some opportunities that you provide for newer people coming into the industry?
I don't quite know how to answer that.
Okay. Is there anything specifically at JR Lighting that
Well,
you guys do to encourage people in the industry?
yes, we have the colleges bring classes quite often
Oh, awesome.
to come over and view the place and do the entire layout, take a look at things. We take a few lights out. We I show them different lights and how different lights work, and we've also offered internships from time to time. I currently have one intern working in my shop.
Oh, that's great.
And I believe that overall, the future of our industry will lie in being able to provide those kinds of things for the incoming students.
The opportunities to learn while they're
Yes.
younger, while they're students, and
Yes.
then they have the skill set to get employed.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you have advice for someone who's just getting into the industry or wants to get involved?
Oh, sure. My opinion is you should focus on one thing. Try not to be a jack of all trades, but focus on one thing you want to do and do it really well. If you spend your energy doing things like that, you will do well in that one industry versus trying to be 6 different things.
Sure. That's really good advice. It's nice to be well-rounded in the industry, in my opinion. So you have an idea of like, okay, that's what the actor's experiencing, that's what the grip's experiencing, that's what the sound guy's experiencing. But to be kind of expert in one thing is really helpful.
Yeah. Be good in one.
Yeah. What are some things that you hope this next generation of filmmakers will do differently from your generation?
I hope they do nothing different than we did.
Okay.
I hope they
Cool.
learn from our. They
You guys
do
set
what we do.
good groundwork.
I hope they do what we do. I hope they learn lighting from our point of view. Learn how to use the old stuff. You know, before you start breaking the rules, learn the rules.
Right.
So yes, I hope that they learn those things before they turn to the LED world.
Right.
And say, okay, I can do that with 2 LEDs. No, learn the right way first.
Yeah.
Then break
Okay.
the rules.
Okay. Very cool. And what are some forecasts? Do you have a forecast of how the industry is going to change in the next few years?
Well, the industry here, I hope, as we finish the infrastructure pieces, if we get the pieces finished and all, then my goal is for us to be able to have a strong industry where all the jobs are controlled by Nevadans. And that would make it easier for people coming into the industry to work for you. So when you become the producer, they can work for you, and they can be your PA and work their way up to your job.
Sure. Cool. So it's Nevada focus.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
On a more global perspective, do you see forecast any grand changes in the industry as a whole?
I don't really understand the industry well enough to do that.
Totally fair.
This whole,
It's a big question.
this whole streaming thing, I don't really understand how it's all working and all that.
But you don't have to. You're
I
an
don't have
expert in
to.
the lighting. You're there for the
stick-
production. Let the other people do their distribution and whatnot.
Stick where I stick.
I can dig it. All right. So anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
I don't know that I really do.
Okay.
You know, I just think that anyone out there who really has a true interest in lighting should really study lighting and not just think that, oh, I can just do it because it's easy.
Yeah.
And really study it and become a student of it. And cinematographers should also understand lighting as well as other things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about camera movement, camera placement. It's all about how lighting can help the story and how the story comes together.
Right. Well, the different lighting, the amount of light, if you're outside, if you're inside, it affects the mood
It can. If it's done correctly,
Yeah.
it can. I've seen a lot of times where it isn't done correctly, and some people notice, some people don't.
Of course. Are there any resources you'd suggest for people to check out?
Yeah, if you, Harry Box wrote a book that's a lighting handbook that is very good. Harry's a cinematographer. I've known him for, I don't know, a long time. And his book is very good, a very useful thing. I make all my people read it.
Okay. Cool.
And anybody who comes into our shop as a new intern, first thing we do is give them a copy of Harry's book and
Wow.
say, here, read this.
That's great. That's awesome. It's sorry, go ahead.
And it used to be, when I used to teach, it was the handbook I used for teaching.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That must be nice to have you guys all on the same page in your warehouse. Everyone's familiar and
Well, you want everybody to understand the equipment. It's really about that.
Yeah.
The more you understand about the equipment, the better you can use it.
makes sense. Well, it's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Where can our audience find out more about you? and your
Well,
work?
we have Facebook and Instagram, and of course, jrlighting.com.
Perfect. Love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thank
This
you
was
for
great.
having me.
My pleasure. And thank you all for tuning into this episode of Cinema Crunch. My name is Rose Donahue, and we're filming at the Quantum Arc Media Studio in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks again. We'll catch you next time.